Welcome to sunny Florida. My name is Bobby Johnson, and today I wanted to talk to you about the Everglades Challenge of 2024 and what gear I carry and reasons why I carry it, and maybe just give a little pointers along the way. So we're about 2 weeks and 2 days out. Starts March 2nd, every first Saturday of the year, and it is a 300-mile race. If you do the Waterway Challenge through the Everglades National Park, you can add 300 miles on. You take the long way around Florida, maybe get that. If you're racing it, you typically do about 260-ish, somewhere in there, to complete it. So there is a faster route, but it all depends on how you want to do the race. Me personally, I like to go for the record. Right now the record is 2 days and 21 hours for me, approximately. And the tandem record is right around 2 days and 20 hours, held by Iron Bob and Druce, a father-son team that's been doing it for a long time. This will be my 8th year running this race, so I know a couple things about it, and right now I'm going to share them with you. Let me flip the camera around. That will be the boat I am taking. It's a 18X Sport. Bought it last year, just before the race. I was able to set the solo record in that boat. Great boat. Anyways, this is all the gear, minus food and a lot of water. The Everglades Challenge has been held for over 20 years. Water Tribe is the name of the company who runs it, and they have, I believe, 4 different races throughout the United States. And this particular race is exceptionally difficult because you're in open water running from Fort DeSoto, which is just outside of Tampa, along the coast, down to Key Largo, through the heart of the Everglades, through Florida Bay, 10,000 islands. You get to go past Marco, Sarasota, just all along the coast. It's really pretty. The only downfall to running along the coast and getting out to the Gulf of Mexico is that you're going to hit weather, whether you like it or not. You can hide from it. If you're racing, there's no hiding from it. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with the waves, the weather, and whatever else comes along with it. And a lot of things like to come along with it. So that being said, I'm going to go over the list, the Water Tribe list that is required for you to bring. It is a long list. Sometimes when you're putting it all together, mostly my first couple of years, it never seemed like it was ever going to fit in the boat. Plus all the food and water you're carrying, it makes for a exceptionally heavy boat. So first thing, get right to this list, is your PFD, Coast Guard approved, and this is the one I use. I have been using it now for 8 years. And on this life jacket, you have to have your EPIRB or PLB, personal life beacon, attached to the life preserver. You have to have a knife that you can easily take out and put back in. It has to be connected, which is connected here, and you have to have a whistle. I also recommend putting in your flares, a mirror, a headlamp, a bottle of water, a snack, a bug net, and a VHF, UHF radio. I think it's a VHF radio. It'll all fit inside this particular jacket. It fits inside fine, and it's comfortable. And just in case you get separated from your boat, you'll want to have some extra things inside that PFD. Gives you comfort. So next thing, you need your navigation lights. I just use these clip-on lights. They don't really last that long. You know, you might get a day out of them. They're very inexpensive. I usually wrap them with a little black tape so they're not blinding me at night. I also carry a spotlight. The spotlight has many uses. One is safety. When you have boats come up behind you or come in front of you, you're going to want to turn on something brighter than the lights that you actually have on your boat. Whether you turn on your headlamp, spotlight, light yourself up like the 4th of July. Because a lot of times on Saturday night, you're running with boats that are, these people have been drinking all day, they're partying, and you could be running with a group of 5, 6 kayakers, and they'll go right by you, and you can hear them say, "Did you guys see those kayakers?" Well, they already passed you, so they could have run you right over. I recommend at night, do not run the channels, run the edges of the channels, and once you hear boats coming, get out of the channel, and get out as far as you can, really. Just get away from the boats. It's not worth it. It'll wreck your day, kill you. So keep it safe. You're going to also always want to have your headlamps. It's not part of the night kit, but you definitely want headlamps, and you always want a backup headlamp. These are IP67 rated. They're made by Black Diamond. IP67, it means that they can stay underwater for 30 minutes at 3 meters or 3 feet, one of the two. It's not much. However, I've never had a Black Diamond headlamp fail on me. Prince Tech, absolutely terrible lights. Those things are not meant for the water. I've used a lot of different lights in the Black Diamonds. Yes, they're $40 to $50. However, you don't have to buy another one. You just have to put batteries in them. They don't rot on the inside. They have a good strong clasp that locks down over a rubber seal, and just don't have to worry about them. They always work. Your flares, and there's your mirror, and a UHF radio. So your boat has to have bulkheads inside the hull, which separate the boat. So there's one right in the front of my feet and one right behind the day storage hatch. You have to have a spot or a spot in reach. I'm sorry, an in reach or a spot. So I use a spot. This is another item that is susceptible to failure. They do fail, so you always want to put them inside a waterproof case of some sort. If you're running rivers, freshwater does not affect boats or your gear like saltwater does. Saltwater likes to get into everything, mostly electronics, and it easily destroys them. The VHF radio is the next thing on the list. Those are extremely waterproof. Never had an issue with those. A cell phone. Spare paddles. I run a single blade paddle and double blade paddles. So one of these is my spare. Guess it depends on which one I'm using. I like to run double blades during the day because you're getting soaking wet, and it is fast. And at night, when I'm just so tired of being wet, I will get out my single blade and I'll just kick back and relax and continue on my journey. A baler. I use mainly a sponge. This is a masonry sponge you can buy from Home Depot. You can buy them in packs of 6 for about $10. The sponges that the kayak shops sell are garbage, and they want about $12 for one of them. And they have no absorbing power like a masonry sponge does. Also, it's really nice just to keep that in the cockpit and keep your boat nice and clean. Just get a little bit of water out here and there. You need a self-rescue device. This is a self-rescue device, one of them. And what you do is you actually just stick your paddle inside and then attach your paddle behind your cockpit under the ropes. And once it's inflated and it's off to the left or right side of your boat, you can put all the weight you want on top of your paddle and between the boat, even though it's full of water, and because you have the bulkheads keeping it afloat, and the only thing that'll be full of water is your cockpit, and the bag filled with air, it helps you easily get back into the boat under stable conditions, even if it's rough out. Takes a little getting used to, but of course there's all different ways to re-enter your boat. Another great way to re-enter your boat without blowing that bag up, which I would do rather than blowing that bag up because it takes time, is just get to the back of my boat and army crawl from the stern up to the cockpit, very low on the boat, which is army crawl, very low. And when you get to the cockpit, you just spin your butt into the boat and you put your feet on each side of the boat in the water and drain the boat while you're in the boat. Keeps the boat very stable, keeps you relaxed, the waves aren't affecting you as much, and you're able to get water out of the boat, get moving, and maybe get to shore just to get the rest of it off and kind of take a breather. A system for boiling water and cooking. I've had this jet boil here since I started doing racing 8 years ago. It's never let me down, always works. Boils water quickly, within minutes the water is boiled. You can cook the ready-made meals in there. Well, you don't cook them in there, you just pour your hot water inside a ready-made meal and kick back and relax and let it cook. Not something I do anymore. I only use that for if I absolutely need it. Another way for purifying water is the Sawyer water filters. Next thing on the list is a shelter system. A tent, camping hammock, or bivy bag with waterproof bottom and breathable top. A tarp may not be included, but does not by itself satisfy the requirement. So, I have a one-man tent, I have a inflatable pad, and I have a sleeping bag. I don't use them unless the weather is just absolutely terrible. I use my SOL Survivor bags or bivvies, and I just lay that on the beach and hop right in. It saves me the time it takes to set up a camp. Everything's getting sand, everything's wet. It's really comfortable inside these tents, and if you're going for speed, yes, you want to get an hour, 2 hours of sleep, maybe a little bit more, depending on what your situation is. However, the time it takes to set them up, you could be sleeping in this bivy bag in a second, and the time it takes to take those down, plus all the sand that is attached to it at the same time, makes a mess of everything. They're tightly packed, so you've got to pack in the back properly. Again, takes time. This, you just roll up whatever there's a little sand on it, put it in a 1 gallon Ziploc bag, and you're off and running. And also, when you go to sleep and you're damp, when you get inside that thermal radiant barrier bivy bag, your body heat helps to dry your clothing. So when you wake up, you're nice and warm. That's another tip for when you go to sleep. You want to go to sleep for the conditions you're going to wake up in. You don't want to go to sleep and go, oh, I'm just going to take everything off and get in my underwear and get in a warm sleeping bag. And then when you wake up, when you get out of that sleeping bag, you instantly get cold again. So what you want to do is go to sleep in good warm clothes, mainly even paddling clothes. So when you wake up, you're ready. When you get out of that bag, you might be a little chilly, but you're not freezing cold. And the problem with being freezing cold is you just want to get right back in that sleeping bag and go back to sleep. And if you're racing, that's the last thing you want to do. It's all about moving. So we're next on the list. I could probably go on and on about that, but I've had a lot of issues when it comes to sleeping too long. So speaking of cold and being uncomfortable, yes, we're in Florida. You have to have a hypothermia emergency survival kit. And what I like to use is these thermal radiant barrier, keep your heat inside your body bivy bags. I carry an extra emergency one. I bring hand warmers. These are like $1.99 at Walmart. They are amazing. A fire building kit with waterproof matches and some fire cubes. Always have extra lighters, and you want to put your lighters, one lighter in one bag and one lighter in another bag, because if the one bag gets wet and you're SOL if you don't have another lighter somewhere else. Of course, that's where the waterproof matches come in. So it's great to have backups, and they're super light. This is a candle that is recommended, and it's great for putting inside of a tent and having that light going. Keeps you a fire, gives you comfort, and it actually does warm up your tent a little bit. Let's see. Of course, we just went over the emergency fire starting kit. That would be that right there. Next on the list is on water clothing. This is, I'll just read to you what it says. Ranging from 50 degrees on water to 30-degree gale force wind, rain to warm water, sun, air, temps in the 90s. No, a wetsuit does not satisfy this requirement. Newer technology like shark skin or lavacore and others can be used as part of your system. I have used shark skin in the past. I do not use it anymore. It creates a very sticky film on your body, and the smell is unbelievable that comes off your body from being in that for a long time paddling on the water. It does keep you warm. Yes, it does keep you warm. However, when you're paddling, and mostly if you're paddling with speed and all this weight, your body heats up rapidly, and it can just become bad, I guess you could say. I guess I will say, because I've experienced it. Also, when that shark skin gets wet, it is extremely heavy and it's hard to dry out. So I just try to use clothing like this. They're just sun shirts, and of course a hat. You always want a hat. Your heat escapes your head at night and in the day. A hat keeps the warmth in. There's all kinds of different hats you can use. Shoes are important for two reasons. A, when you get out of the boat, there's a lot of shells, mostly down in the Everglades where you're not allowed to touch anything, barnacles, and the last thing you ever want to do is cut yourself on these trips. Mostly when you're not subtropical environment, you can start creating an infection, and then the pain sets in. These scuba boots here, they're 5 mil. That's just for extremely cold conditions. So a rain jacket, I've had this rain jacket for 8 years. It was a Columbia rain jacket. It's so faded now. This is not really truly waterproof anymore. It does help shed the water. But if I really, one thing that also does is it keeps the body heat in. Rain jackets are great for regulating heat. This jacket being so old, it actually helps keep me cool also. Whereas if I put this Arc'teryx jacket on, which is completely waterproof, you have a harder time keeping your body temperature cool. It really heats you up. So if it's really cold out and it's raining, yes, the Arc'teryx comes out. However, you're also wearing a skirt, which is required. It's at the bottom of the list, and that keeps a lot of warmth inside the cockpit of the boat. So it's another great way to regulate the temperature. Also, just a quick thing, on the Epic 18X kayak, there's a day hatch right there. And I removed the compartment that was underneath there. So if I start getting heated up by having the skirt on, I just open that up and it lets in cool air and helps keep me dry. So it's all about regulating temperature. You're always going cold to hot, hot to cold. Camp clothes. You have to have a separate bag of camp clothes. I like to have wool socks and just a pair of pants and a thin pair, like hiking pants, and a long sleeve shirt. And usually I bring a beanie also, which I had out here somewhere. All right, and that's very important. You want to keep everything dry. Let's go back to that. So you have these waterproof bags. And at first I started buying these thin waterproof bags for weight. The problem is they leak. And they're easy to cut or penetrate with something, and then the water comes in. So I started buying these thicker, heavier duty bags, and they really do help with not being punctured, or if they get scratched, they don't get cut easily. Here's the thing though, this stuff is in your boat And if your boat's leaking or you're getting water in or you're taking on big waves, water finds a way. So what you want to do is put everything in a Ziploc bag. It's really important. Good quality Ziploc bags, and make sure they're sealed properly. I put everything. Everything is double layered. Compass, watch, and charts. So I always run GPS. I do bring a backup GPS because I don't want to sit there and deal with a chart and maps. It takes time, and if you're really exhausted, the last thing you want to do is get out your compass and chart and try to find your way in the middle of the Everglades. Of course, you have to have a watch too, which I run a Garmin watch, which I can actually load in my trip on that too. Boat repair, very important. I used to bring a multi-tool. I quit doing that. I just don't like using multi-tools. When you grab a screwdriver, you got a nice handle. It's much easier to work on your boat. A multi-tool, they are kind of awkward, and that square shape, it's just not ergonomically correct for your hand. Duct tape, very important for patching your boat. Zip ties. I tell you, those things can fix about anything. The only thing I don't have here is a can of WD-40, and of course I don't bring that, but I tell you, the rope, zip ties, duct tape, pair of pliers, both types of screwdrivers, a couple extra bungees, basically will fix anything on a boat. First aid kit. So my first aid kit is not just a medical kit. It's in a waterproof bag. Just bought a brand new one. I do bring Advil or ibuprofen, sunscreen. These are very important. Have chapstick with at least 15 to 30 SPF protection. Your lips in that subtropical environment will rot off your face, and it's no fun when you're eating when your lips are bleeding the entire time. It does happen if you lose it. Happened to me my first year. Salt pills. Salt pills are extremely important. Band-aids. Band-aids for if you start tearing your fingers. You put Band-aids on them and you can just keep on going. Vaseline. Vaseline under your armpits, between your legs, on your feet for water protection, on your hands for water protection. Aquaphor. This is great for your feet also. And anytime you're starting to get hot spots on your hands from just paddling forever, you stop, put some Aquaphor on, and it takes away those hot spots and prevents blisters. I always like to bring some a toothbrush and toothpaste, toilet paper. Last thing on the list is a spray skirt for your spray deck. I use the Seal spray skirt. It's extremely waterproof and keeps you nice and cozy. Suggested equipment: GPS, strobe for your PFD. Your headlamps have strobes on them. They also make other types of strobes. Food for the entire challenge duration. Water sufficient to get to the next checkpoint. There is plenty of places to stop along the way for water. Every checkpoint has water. Every checkpoint has a store if you're there at the right time. Of course, that all depends on what time you get there. There are restaurants along the way. There are people that love to help you out. There are public beaches that have small little stores there, or small little restaurants that you can get water from. Let's see, street clothes and a shower kit for the finish line. Rubber boat cradles for on the way home. Hat for sun protection, hat for foul weather, hat for sleeping. Paddling shoes that protect your feet and ankles, sunglasses, sunscreen, bug repellent. I always have a bug net and bug repellent. Until you get down the Everglades, and man, those bugs can be evil. Cash, credit cards, boat sponge, blah, blah, blah. So basically, we've covered it all. It's all about preference. And yes, it will fit in your boat. That is one thing that when you put all this together, it probably adds between all the food and the water. The food and the water is the heaviest. You're probably adding close to 60 pounds to your boat. So it's always good to train with weight in your boat before that. I hope this helps you out. Any questions? Let me know.